Hello, everyone. Welcome to Somebody's Got to Do It. This afternoon, I'm joined by a guest who is a farmer, and these are very important persons, so I'm always happy to speak with farmers. We actually visited his farm the other day on a school trip, and speaking with him, I was really encouraged and fascinated. And I knew that I had to invite him to come and share. We will want to get into the nitty gritty behind these jobs so everybody can know what goes on. So I'd like to welcome Detective Sergeant Dale Lopez. Welcome, Mr. Lopez.
Thank you, madam. It's a pleasure being here.
Yes. How did a cop get into farming?
Well, I would say I was a farmer before a cop.
Okay.
Yeah,
How long
because
have you been in farming and how long have you been a cop?
all right, I've been in farming for over 10 years and I've been a
Mm.
member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force for about 15 years.
But you said you were a farmer before you were a cop.
Yes. All right, so I started farming from my boyhood days in Clarendon, growing up with my grandparents. I
Okay.
would say I was first introduced to farming when I was basically in grade two, about 7, 8, by my
Mm.
grandfather because he used to rear pigs and do crop growing also. And that is where I was basically introduced to farming. And I was basically fascinated by the whole process to see him interacting with the animals and also how he did crop management.
Hmm.
So that was basically my upbringing as it relates to farming and all.
But officially, though, as an adult in the job, it's been 10 years of
Yes,
farming.
yes.
And what would you describe your role in farming?
All right. In terms of my role, I have multiple roles because I operate a farm in the Salt Pan area of St. Catherine.
Hmm.
And the name of my farm is Grass to Grace. So
Okay.
basically, I supervise operations. At times, I will get down to doing the dirty work, as person would say. Farming is a dirty job.
Yes.
And basically, on a whole, I try to multitask at all times to ensure that things are working out as it should be and
Hmm.
all the necessary operations are on board and on track.
So you said the name of your farm is Grass to Grace.
Grace, yes.
What made you decide on that name?
That name was basically formulated when we had the tropical storm Grace that basically would have impacted the country. My farm was impacted severely because I was totally flooded out. And after the passing of Grace, then we had numerous grass growing on the farm. So basically, I just flipped it and said grass to Grace. And
Okay.
that is how the name was formulated.
Okay. And you say you the farm is located in which section of Portmore?
Salpon, a year known as Salpon.
Salt Pond. All
Yes.
right. A lot of persons would say really Portmore because they don't expect that there is any farm. I know me, for one, I had no idea that farming on this scale was being practiced in Portmore. Are there many farmers like yourself?
Yes, there are many farmers like myself in that particular year.
Hmm.
That year was basically introduced to farming that we are doing now with monocropping when I think it was sometime in 2021 when persons were being relocated from the Bernard Lodge area because as you know they're trying to do some development in that area. So persons were relocated to the Salpan area. Originally that area was used to grow sugarcane on a large
Yes.
scale. So, but
Okay.
over the years we have had a reduction in sugarcane production. So, farmers who basically are registered to the Sugar Company of Jamaica, they would basically get lands in those areas that were previously occupied by sugarcane growers.
You mentioned monocropping.
Yes.
Um, is it so you focus on one particular crop, or the farmers in that location tend to zero in on one or a few particular crops?
A few particular crops. For myself, I specialize in growing melon outdoors as well
Watermelon.
as, yeah,
Okay.
watermelon, as well as sweet pepper. And indoors, I grow sweet pepper indoors also. But my main crop is watermelon production.
And when you say indoors, do you mean the greenhouse?
Yeah, on a greenhouse setting.
Okay. Because
Yes.
I remember seeing the greenhouse when we came
Yes.
on the trip, and I actually have a short video clip that I'm going to share with our viewers in a little while, where you were standing in front of the greenhouse and
Mhm.
explaining to us. So we're going to dive into that in a little while.
Oh, okay.
Um, so did you said that you were introduced to farming at a very, very young age?
Yes.
But is it something that you saw yourself doing when you became an adult? Did you look at grandpa and say, I love what grandpa is doing. I want to do that too when I grow up.
Yes, that was something that I was very passionate about because
Mm-hmm.
my grandfather was my role model. And
Okay.
even when I became a member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, I always wanted to basically get a piece of land in the town area where I could
Mm-hmm.
do farming. And I got that era in Salpan. I was doing an investigation for someone who worked with the Sugar Company of Jamaica, and
Yes.
I basically asked them what's the procedure to get a piece of land in the through the company, and the person basically outlined the procedure to me, and I applied, and I was successful, and I got the year in 2021.
Okay.
Yes,
And you're a country boy or a town boy?
country boy,
Which parish?
Clarendon. I'm
Okay.
from a remote district in northern Clarendon known as Friendship.
Friendship.
Yes.
Okay. So what kind of training, apart from growing up and seeing grandpa do this and do that, and it's growing in you, you're naturally exposed to it, but apart from that, what kind of official training does one need for a job like this?
All right, we're in the technological era now. So
Mhm.
if you're not exposed to face-to-face training, then it's either hands-on training, which is on the job, or for me, I mostly watch YouTube videos to get different farming
Mhm.
tips and how to basically do the necessary production.
Right. And there's really no limit to the things that you can learn on YouTube, right?
No, and for farming, it's
Mhm.
basically a ever learning process because
Yeah.
on a daily basis, you are basically introduced to new things as it relates to farming, how this is done, how that is done. So basically, it's a ever learning process as it relates to farming.
Is grandpa still around?
No, he unfortunately died in 2014, but his legacy still lives on within me.
Yeah. And do you have siblings who are in the farming?
No, it's just me alone.
Okay. So, how do you feel about your job on a day to day basis? What words would you use to describe farming?
Well, for me, I would use a few words: excitement,
Mhm.
exploration, and another word I would use hardworking. Those three words.
Very, very strenuous work, right?
Yes, yes.
So, you don't even have to go to the gym to work out. You are working out on the farm.
Farm, yes.
What's the most exciting thing for you?
It's basically planting a new crop. So basically, the land prep is done, and then you plant. The most exciting stage for me is basically the germination stage.
When you
Reason,
see the little sprouts coming up?
yeah, little sprouts coming out.
Hmm.
And basically, you plant, for example, an acre of watermelon, and you see all those areas that you planted growing. That is the most exciting part of it for me.
Okay. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to share some pics,
Yes.
and as I share the pics, I want you to just talk us through it and tell us what is it that we're looking at. And then after the pics, I'm going to go right into the short video clip
Okay.
where you were explaining to the children. And I'm telling you, your passion did come out, you know,
Yes.
and the children were really inspired.
Yes.
All right, so this is our first clip. Just tell us what we're looking at
Oh,
here.
so this is the greenhouse, and those are sweet peppers. The scientific name for sweet pepper is capsicum, and as you can see, you see some white strings also.
Yes,
That
yes.
that that process is known as trellising. So basically, the purpose of the string is to keep the plant upright, and so that the main shoot or the main shoots that you are bringing on the plant can follow the string upward, so that the plant does not topple. So I
Okay,
think when that picture was taken, these plants just started to bear. If you can look closely, you see young fruits coming out.
okay. So at a certain stage, the peppers would get too heavy and it would weigh the plant down.
Yes,
So you have to keep it up.
upright. Yes.
How high do the peppers get?
Ah, the for this greenhouse, when I basically stop the operation inside the greenhouse, trees were basically about 8 feet tall, thereabouts.
Wow,
Yes, and
that's much higher than your head.
yes, and this is one of the advantage of growing inside the greenhouse. The pepper trees, they grow extremely tall. So it's
Okay,
basically a controlled environment that is less stressful than outdoors.
right.
Because if these peppers were outdoor, you wouldn't get that height as inside the greenhouse.
The greenhouse. I
Yes.
imagine you have help, right? You have hands on the farm helping you, or
Yes.
is it a solo operation?
No, I have 3 workers who work
Okay.
with me. So this is one of the plants in the bearing stage. That fruit that you can see on the plant can
Mm-hmm.
be harvested, and one of the characteristics when harvesting sweet pepper, it has that shiny look. So you can see that glossy look on
Yes.
fruit. Yeah,
So
it,
that's
it's
when you know it's ready.
for harvesting as well as the toughness of the fruit.
Okay. And you get a lot of bugs and stuff.
Well, inside the greenhouse, as I said, it's a controlled environment. You will have a small amount of pests and disease
Okay. So the
because,
greenhouse reduces
yeah,
the pests
and disease and
and the
all.
diseases. Okay.
Yes, and this is another tree also.
This one looks really plump and juicy.
You see,
Oh.
yeah. So inside the greenhouse, we normally get larger fruits than outdoors.
Yeah, and the leaves look really healthy.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So you have bigger leaves, bigger fruits, bigger plants.
Yeah.
Greenhouse is basically a medium for growing bigger things
Mm.
rather than outdoors.
Okay, so what are we looking at here? How many acres do you operate?
I operate 7 acres. This was a land preparation process for onion. As you can see, the tractor is doing a process known as rotovation. And rotovation is basically refining the soil. So, as you can see, if you look closely, the years that the tractor drove, the soil looks more powdery than the other sections to the right.
Oh, yes, it does.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's a,
Okay, so it makes it refined, which
yes.
is better for the onions.
Yeah, for the germination process.
Okay. This is one of your workers?
Yeah, this is one of my worker. Harvesting a bunch of plantain.
Plantains.
Yes, and in the background you see pawpaw tree and other plantain trees also.
Yeah.
So this is the construction phase of the house that is on the farm.
Mm-hmm.
I basically use the house in here for storing my equipment,
Mm-hmm.
chemicals, fertilizers, and basically resting here for workers during
Yes.
day-to-day operation.
How heavy is the investment in equipment?
In terms of the equipment that I currently use, I would say in terms of costs, uh, I'm looking at about between 250 to $300,000.
Mm-hmm.
But as I always tell people who are basically coming into farming, the most expensive stage of farming is the starting up process.
Right.
So once you get the areas covered during the initial stage, then it's just basically you interacting with the crop production thereafter, so that
Mm-hmm.
you can basically recover your cost that you would have spent during the initial startup.
Right. Okay.
And this is the water pump. I was doing some servicing here, and the water pump is basically the nucleus of the farm. So without the pump, then basically no operation can take place, because as they say, water is life, and
It
if you plant
is.
something and it is not being watered, then the what you plant is going to die. So basically, the pump is is the heartbeat of the
Yeah.
farm. So I have
And
to
sorry, go ahead. Finish up what
so I
you're
have to
saying.
ensure that I service the pump basically every 2 weeks to ensure that it is in a good working condition.
I noticed a small stream running beside the salt pond area. Is that stream coming from the Rio Cobra?
Yes, that stream is coming from the Rio Cobra. So
Okay.
basically, that stream was basically created by the National Irrigation Commission
Okay.
in collaboration with the Sugar Company of Jamaica. So basically, farm in the Bagua Gorge area, you have different areas of water that are channeled to various communities to do farming.
That's
So
really neat.
yes,
Yeah, I was looking at it right at the entrance to Phoenix.
yes,
And it seemed like it was does it go under the road? I was trying to figure out where the stream was coming from because you have the Caribbean estate on one side
yes,
and then the stream actually looks like it's coming from under the road. I don't know. But it's
yes,
really neat though. It's a neat setup
yes, yes,
and you don't really have to worry about water, which is crucial.
well, yes, yes,
Yeah. But is there a flip side to it? Because I know that the Rio Cobra does overflow its banks
yes.
certain times of the year. So do you get flooding from this stream?
I know. In terms of flooding, we have to have a disaster such as a tropical storm or a hurricane
Yeah,
for us
for
to
it
get flooding.
to misbehave.
But yeah, but outside of that, on the flip side, if there is a spill in the real Cobra, then
Yes.
at times we're affected, and because the National Irrigation Commission, they have to basically turn off the water. Then they
Mm-hmm.
do their operation with NEPA and those other agencies to carry out the necessary testing to
Mm-hmm.
ensure that the water is basically safe enough for farming,
For farming,
not only for crop farming but animal farming
animal farming.
also.
Do you have animals?
No, I don't have animals. I
Yeah, I
used
know
to.
some of your neighbors rear animals.
Yes.
All right. So which crop is this?
This is sweet pepper. The
All right. So these are the outdoor sweet peppers.
outdoor sweet pepper. Recent those based on the picture,
Yeah.
that would have been a early transplant,
Mhm.
because those seedlings are basically just coming out of the greenhouse.
So since the sweet peppers do so really well in the greenhouse, why would you then have some outside?
Basically, to increase the level of production
Oh, based on the
because
demand.
yes, based on the demand. So
Okay.
you want to basically try and produce as much as possible to meet the demand.
So would you price them differently?
Uh, if you are selling them if you are selling them green, basically
Mm.
you get the same price. But if they are colored, and most times the colored one come from inside the greenhouse, so you get a different
Oh, oh.
price for the colored
And
crop.
those would be a little more expensive.
Yes, and this I think was Grace basically
So this is what the farm
interacting.
was named in honor of.
Grace.
Yeah.
Yes, this was what caused the
And
flood.
we had a near miss the other day with Beryl.
Burial, yes.
Did
Uh,
you suffer loss at the hands of Beryl, even though we didn't get a direct hit? But
yes.
how did the salt pond area manage? Even
It,
with we did get some wind and rain.
yes. It was basically farmers in the area were impacted. I I was impacted also because even the greenhouse that you guys would have gone into when you came to the farm, uh,
Yes.
a section of it was damaged. So I'm in the
Yeah.
process of basically conducting repairs. But
Right. We're
it
gonna
was
see the greenhouse in a minute.
yes,
So is it you're saying a section of it
was damaged.
was damaged?
Yes, but from the hurricane, it was more of the wind that impacted the farmers than the rain,
Right.
because a number of other greenhouses and seedling houses in the area were damaged because of the heavy wind.
The strong winds.
Yes, and this is basically a combination of pictures showing onion and sorrel production. The bottom
So
two
the
pictures
sorrel would
are
be the bottom.
yeah, the bottom two pictures are
Wow,
sorrel.
that's a lot of sorrel, man.
Yes, that was 1 acre of sorrel. I think this picture was the sorrel pictures were
Yes.
taken during the initial stage of my starting up at Salpan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the sorrel would be a seasonal thing.
Yeah, it's a seasonal thing. It's normal. Well, I normally plant it from the ending of July, which would be now, to start harvesting in about the ending of October, going into November, December
For Christmas.
for Christmas. Yes,
Okay.
and this
These are the
picture,
outside peppers.
yes. So basically, as you can see, they are in production, but the leaves are not broad like those
Right. It's
inside
a
the
clear
greenhouse.
difference with the
Yeah,
leaves.
leaves. Yeah, and
Yeah.
the plant is very much shorter also.
Yeah. Definitely the greenhouse has that impact on the plant.
Plant, yes. And this is another crop that I grow, but not on a very frequent basis. It's known as the okra.
Yes.
And I think this picture was also taken during the initial stage of my starting up at Salcon.
Is there something in particular that turns you off with the okra?
Not really. Well, I'm gonna say not really, but one of the hardest part of okra production is the harvesting stage, and
Yes.
it's very difficult at times to find persons to harvest the crop because persons are saying that it basically gives them a scratch when they interact with the plant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have to be wearing long sleeve and gloves and
Yeah,
all of
I
those.
heard another farmer talk about that just yesterday.
Yes.
So does wearing gloves help?
Yeah, it does help. And with okra, basically you harvest from the plant 3 times for the week. So
Yeah, so it's a good turnover crop, don't?
crop, yeah. So if you look carefully at this picture, you would see three different size okras on the plant. So you see the long one that one can be harvested,
That's this
and
one here.
yeah, yes, and the shorter one to that would be
That's
harvested within
this.
yeah within 2 days because that this small one would
That's how fast
basically
they grow.
yeah grow very fast.
Wow.
Grow very fast.
I love okras.
Yes,
All right. So this
and
is
sorrel. So
sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, this variety that is in the picture is known as the Bashment variety.
Mm-hmm.
It takes 3 months for production. So this is the one that is widely planted in Jamaica
Mm-hmm.
to meet the demand of the market.
Right.
Uh,
We love our sorrel in Jamaica.
Right. Yes.
Okay, and what's this?
All right. So this picture is basically illustrating a field with onion production. Uh, as you can see, with the onion production, it is basically a number of plants in a 1 acre plot. So basically, the seeds are very, 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 very fine. So within a 1 acre plot, you can have about 600,000 seeds thereabouts.
Wow.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the land, as I said before, whilst we were going through the pictures, the land preparation as it relates to onion production is, for me, is the most critical part because if you get that part wrong, then
Mm-hmm.
I can assure you that the outcome won't be as successful that you would have basically thought that you would have achieved.
Right.
And this is a close up picture of the onion growing process. As you
Mm-hmm.
can see, this is the weeding process of the operation. So basically, with onion production, the onions do not like to compete with weed. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to keep your field weed free as best as possible so that you can get the size onions that you are looking for to get the proper weight.
Yeah.
Once you get the weight, then you know it's you going to the bank with a good amount of money.
Yeah. So onions are very lucrative.
Yes, it's one of the most lucrative crop as it relates to farming.
Wow. And I mean, everything basically you're cooking, you need an onion,
Onion, yes,
whether it's soup, stew, whatever.
yeah.
They're,
Always have
they're,
to use
they're
the
very
onion.
tasty.
Yes.
All right. So, what I'm going to do now is to show our short video clip. Hopefully, the sound is just right.
Okay.
Because I know we're having some issue with the wind that
Wind,
day.
yes.
Yeah. All right. So, let's see. Don't know why it's not playing. Let me try. Let me try playing it first,
Okay.
and then show it.
So basically, that chops the mash.
So you don't plant more than three of them together?
Well, it's only one plant. It's okay. Yeah.
And you don't move them, transplant them somewhere else?
Yeah. If I transplant them somewhere else, I could do no more farming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this is the greenhouse we're looking at.
You guys have the
Yes.
plant? So the greenhouse is in the backdrop.
Right.
That planting should basically be between the two greenhouses.
Whoa.
It comes within 7 months.
Oh, really? Like, I want to continue with the piece I had. I have a yard space. How buy a house? I have a yard space. Yeah, we have a yard space. Don't worry, Mr. Kama, we remember you.
Alright, the presentation. Basically, we have to have our equipments to do our spray. So basically, we have three types of spray right here. So this is known as a knapsack sprayer. A knapsack,
Put on your back.
Basically you rock it manually and things. And you squeeze the nozzle and spray. Alright, this is known as a battery pack. So the battery is underneath.
Okay.
The battery is underneath right here. So basically you press this button right here, it comes on and you spray. Alright, this is known as the mist blower. We consider this outside of the pump as the part of the nucleus of the farm because of the amount of things that this
Can do.
can do. All right.
Don't some people use it for the muscle?
Yeah, similar to the muscle. All right, so basically, our operate is basically prime right here. Spin back that right there. I will just pull up the top. Yeah, liquid, and I'm gonna spring it here. So, I put it on the back and start the operation. Yeah, so normally use our protectant, known as PPE. And normally I'm on polyvinyl vest, or basically something like a raincoat. Yeah, basically,
But you spray the plants with it? But you spray the plants with it?
all right. Outside of outside of outside of exposure to chemical others, basically, I would say security risks. I don't know when you plant a crop or and some woodlands come basically and attracted to the reef what they have planted. Others, financially, a plant a crop. The duration of the crop is 8 weeks. And for 6 weeks to 7 weeks, the crop is excellent. And during the 8 weeks, disease set upon the crop. And a hurricane. And I cannot hurricane planted onion. The onion was basically bulbing near for harvesting. Hurricane came, wiped out the crop. All I am. Those are some of the risks.
What kind of
Yeah. All right. All right. So in terms of my experience of a bounce back, basically, you know, I've never benefited from it. Basically, I have regroup, take money from.
And you're registered and all of
I'm
that.
registered and all of that. And no benefit. Basically, you have to go back in the pocket. Out the pocket. One other major problem we're having whenever the produce is ready, basically the middle buyer wants to come in and take it for it. When it goes to the end market, the price goes way up. So basically the profit is triple than all of those things for them.
So have you think about going straight to the farm, to the market?
That is kind of tedious for me. So basically, to manage the farm operation, then go to the market. Yeah, wait for the sale to basically execute.
Like a
Connection between the farmers and the houses and those things. Well, I've communicated with them before and things. I wouldn't say it's a success because one of the drawbacks as it is that whenever you produce a crop and you harvest it and it goes through that medium and thing, you have to wait about 30 to 60 days in order to collect your money and thing. I remember you have persons working for you and thing. If you don't have that capital in order to offload that expense and thing, then it makes no sense. So I think that kind of venture more suits the bigger farmers and things. Yeah. So until those problems can be solved, I think the younger persons are going to go into other years rather than farmers. But if you're not passionate about this, I don't think a young person will come in and try to
keep up with it if you're not into it like that because it's not easy.
It's not easy and
Not
it's,
easy,
you
yes.
have to be passionate about. Have to be passionate. It's like about coming in, trying to make the money, and then you back
Yeah.
out, and you basically have to be at it. You have to be pressing at all times. So that is basically it as it relates to my operation. Hopefully next time around, uh, I put some plans in here and things. But it's yeah, man, no problem. Alright. So it's time to get dirty now. I'm gonna dig some.
This?
This is a banana. So
Banana sugar, okay.
I'm gonna show you the difference between the banana and the plant. They're similar, but
Okay.
here's a difference.
Okay.
Alright, so this is the one that grows that you can harvest in 7 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just want to add the water from
Old
and
stuff.
heat liquor fertilizer.
Okay. And this is banana.
Banana.
Oh yeah, papa as well.
Yes. Grow well. Alright, so
The one is the planting. Oh.
passionate about it.
I think now I will carry it. I can go for my car and come back. If the bus driver have a problem.
Supposed to go and find a bag and yeah, supposed to go and trim it up and something. Yeah, man. Supposed to go and find a bag.
Oh my goodness, exam time. The leaf, did the leaf look bigger? Well,
It's no longer and green. For me, it comes out
the banana one them grow closer together.
and start.
Actually, this bigger.
That's what I'm wondering if it's the size of
No, no, the one here bigger already.
Alright, I'm looking at it. I look on the color here and then this box and this.
Oh,
I have a darker color.
darker color. Okay.
That's the main difference.
Yeah. I'll go for it.
All ready to go. You taking it first or you want me to carry
No,
it?
no, no.
Okay, thank you. So you still work as a constable, as a sergeant? Okay, well, from government.
You see things that the regular persons would take for granted and we don't know, because I don't know the difference between a plantain tree, a banana tree, but because you are so intimately involved in it, you can immediately know the difference, don't you?
Difference, yes.
Right. What are some of the misconceptions that you would say people have about farming?
All right. The first misconception is that farming is basically a dirty work,
Yeah.
but I would say with the evolvement of technology, that type of conception is being changed due
Mm-hmm.
to now we have hydroponics farming and other silage farming,
Mm-hmm.
but those are basically the, expensive ventures.
And
So
hydroponics involves.
basically you use the PVC pipes
Mm-hmm.
and some and PVC pipes, your water pump, and you have a storage tank. So basically, the water is basically circulating. right throughout that system on a 24-hour basis
So
for
no
the
soil at
plants.
all?
No soil, just water alone.
Oh,
So basically, all the nutrients are pumped into that water and it is circulated right through the system.
okay.
It is a type of farming that I'm basically still studying
Mm-hmm.
based on the area that I'm located now. But going forward, it is something in the pipeline that I want to do
Okay.
because
And other misconceptions?
and other misconceptions are basically that farming is a venture that once you start and within a few months, it can be very profitable.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, I did not experience it that way.
Yeah.
And from interacting with other persons who are doing farming for a number of years, it's basically a process where you have to be patient. If
Mm-hmm.
you are basically going in it to make money within a year or so, then I don't think it's the type of occupation that is going to be beneficial to you
Yes.
because the initial stage you have to do all of the startup operations. You can plant a crop as I was explaining in the video. The crop is near to be harvested and something naturally comes and wipe it out. And
Mm-hmm.
you have other areas that basically can be disadvantageous as it relates to the crop production. So basically it's an occupation where you have to be very patient. And once you're patient and you're learning
Mm-hmm.
as you do your different operations, then I think down the road you're going to be successful.
Okay. And oftentimes when we think of farmers, these common name Farmer Joe, Farmer Brown, we think of these old men with their donkeys. Eh?
Yes, yes. Uh,
Is that still true?
well, in the country years, that is still a fact, but in the urban areas now, that is being changed
Mm-hmm.
because a number of youths are basically trying to explore farming because they see it as a venture that basically can help you to take care of all your expenses and all. But
Mm-hmm.
as I said, patience is the game. You have to be
Yeah.
patient, and
So this whole thing that is the older folks must go farm. That we need to mash that down.
yeah, we need to mash that down.
But young people are not a group of people who do well with this patience thing.
Yeah, yeah, that is a
So
fact.
how do
That
we
is,
get them to have that mindset?
well, one word I would use for that, you have to be passionate about it.
Yeah.
You have to be passionate about this farming operation. Yeah. If you are not passionate about it, then down the road very quickly you're gonna lose interest
Mm-hmm.
because, as I said, you can plant a crop, the crop is destroyed. You do that for 2 or 3 times and basically no success. Then, as youngsters, basically are just going to try to move into other areas to try and make money. But if you're passionate about it, then you will stick around. You will fight all of the battles, overcome all of the obstacles, in order to get that success.
But with something as demanding and time consuming as farming, how do you juggle being a cop, being a
Well,
detective sergeant?
Well, one of the main thing that I try to practice religiously is to
Mm-hmm.
basically be up from about 5 a.m. in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to go to the farm. During that period, I'll be back home by about 7:30. Then
Oh.
I get ready to go to work. Whilst I'm
Okay.
at work, I try to balance things. I try to be as professional as possible in the work environment, but
Mm-hmm.
I have to basically keep communication with persons on the farm to
Mm-hmm.
ensure that all the plans in place for a particular day are being executed.
Yeah.
So basically, that is the process that I follow on a day-to-day basis in order for me to basically to juggle between farming and policing.
Because farming is definitely not a 9 to 5 and is not a Monday to Friday thing.
No, it's basically a 24/7 thing.
Yeah, right around the clock.
Right
Do
around the
you
clock.
do you ensure that you set aside time for family, for leisure, for vacation, to regroup yourself and relax?
Yes, yes, I do that. During the initial stage, basically I was spending most of the time on the farm, basically to get all the systems in place. But once I overcame that stage, basically tried to transition as best as possible to give that balance between the home and the farm and my work.
And of course you have to delegate some of the responsibilities to your workers.
Yes,
So you're mainly like, as you say, a supervisory managerial role. Is
yes.
farming something, by the way, do you have children and how many?
Yeah, I have two children. Uh,
Is farming something you would recommend to them as a
sure,
career choice?
sure,
Do they show
sure.
any interest
Yeah.
at this time?
Well, my eldest child is 3 years old, going to be for December.
Mm-hmm.
She is the one basically. She goes to the farm with me very early in the mornings. Uh,
Oh,
she,
that's nice.
she shows a lot of interest. My son is
Mm-hmm.
5 months now, but
Okay.
I want to basically introduce farming to him from an early stage so that
Mm-hmm.
it can be basically a part of him growing up, as well as my daughter.
In what ways do you introduce it to kids that young?
Well, one of the best way to introduce it to young kids is basically bringing them to the farm and let them basically have that hands-on approach as it relates to activities on the farm. So basically, at a young age, the thing that fascinates you is basically what you are doing or what you see someone doing. So basically, you want to emulate what the person is doing because you are fascinated by what is being done. So the best way to basically transition a youngster into gravitating to farming is basically giving them that exposure on the farm so that they can be observant of the various activities that are being done.
Right. I remember in conversation at some point you mentioned succession planning. Can you tell us
Yes.
what that is?
So it's basically, you know, with any work operation, at some point in time, you will have to step away from it. So basically, you want to have that continued process whereby someone from the family or even outside is basically coming on board to continue what you have started. Because for me, it's basic. If I'm doing any form of business, my main aim is growth. And in order to grow, you have to basically think about succession planning during any stage of your operation because one, you can become ill at an early stage and you have to step
Yes.
out of it and you want that operation to continue. So basically, you have to guide the persons who are being a part of the team as early as possible to know the various ins and outs of the farm so that at some point in time they can transition into your role and basically continue operation.
Has there ever been a time where you would just want to throw your hands up and say, I can't bother? Have you ever
Uh,
gotten to
uh,
that crisis point?
Recently, yes, I've been in a crisis point in recent times, and it was basically I would say it's frustration in the sense that I've been doing my operation at this particular location for some time now, and when we have any form of natural disaster, it's the same repeating factors that are affecting farmers, such as flooding and all of those negative things. And it's basically
Infrastructure damage.
infrastructure damage, but more of the flooding, and basically if the persons from the company who's in charge of the area would have basically listened to the farmers in the area and carried out the necessary operations to mitigate the problem,
Mm-hmm.
then we wouldn't be in such a crisis on a regular basis. But because of their lackluster behavior, we're always being flooded out and all of those things. And it's basically once that happens, they come in and say that they are going to do this, they are going to do that, and nothing is being done. So basically, you reach a point during the farming, and then you're back to stage one, and it's a cycle. So you just get frustrated and say, no,
Right.
it's time for me to give up this thing. But as I said, if you're passionate about it, you're gonna stick in and try to overcome all the obstacles.
Is there an association?
Yes, we would have formed an association when we were in the year, when we just started the year and thing. But over time, somewhat there has been some downgrading as it relates to meetings and all of those things. Persons
Mhm.
have become frustrated and left the year. So
Oh,
basically, it's just farmers trying to stand up as best as possible in order to get any form of help and try to be strategic so that they can always bounce back.
what's the relationship like between the farmers in the area?
Well, we have good relation. We have good relation, but I think it can be better because,
Mm-hmm.
as I always say to persons, we should try and emulate how the Chinese deal with business on a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Reason why I'm saying that within a Chinese community for basically a particular year, everyone tried to come together and try
Mm-hmm.
to treat each other as best as possible. So basically, if I'm doing, for example, onion production, and John Brown knows certain things about onion production, they would give me the necessary advice and say, this is what to get the necessary outcome as it relates to getting a good production. And for our year, the communication is good, but it can be better. I think farmers over there can basically try and amalgamate more in order for us to be successful. Because my era in the Salcon era cannot supply the entire Jamaican market as it relates to food production. So
Right.
if we come together as a group, we basically can penetrate the market as best as possible and persons can be more successful. But if we're going to be segregated and I am going to say I'm going to do onion production, John Brown is going to do melon production, and we think that we can supply the entire market, then basically we are fooling ourselves. So basically, for me, unity is strength.
Mm-hmm. Is there any word you'd want to direct particularly to the Ministry of Agriculture or to the government on a whole in terms of what they can do to help the farmers specifically in the Salt Pond area?
Well, one word I would use is basically help. I would need for them to provide us with some help because when we were introduced to the era, the word coming out to us was that this particular era would have been the biggest agro park in Jamaica and
Mm-hmm.
it would have been managed out of the office of the Prime Minister. From I've been in that era, I've never seen the Prime Minister. I've never even seen the Minister of Agriculture in the
Mm-hmm.
area. So all I'm saying to them is just see how best they can pay a little focus on us in the Salpan here because we're basically trying to feed the Jamaican population on a whole. And based on the resources that are allocated to us, I think we are doing a good job thus far. But
Mm-hmm.
if we can get some help from them, basically improving the infrastructure in the area, such as providing us with pressurized water and other little infrastructures, then I think we can be more penetrative to the market and
Mm-hmm.
feeding the population on a whole.
And apart from assistance with the infrastructure, is do you have any other ideas in terms of what form you'd like that help to take?
All right. In terms of that help, I think if they can send the necessary personnel in there to make an assessment to get an overview from the farmers and a whole, I think it would be both beneficial for them and for us to see how best we can penetrate this problem.
Okay. And any words to the farmers, those who are already in farming and those who are thinking about it and not so sure? What would you say to them?
All right. For those who are in farming, my advice to them: don't give up. Just try to stick it out. Success is down the road because in 10 years' time, I think farmers are going to be. We are already important, but we're going to be more important down the road because farming is what provides food, and food is one of the basic necessities for our life in any jurisdiction. For persons who are thinking about coming into farming, try to be passionate about about the occupation before you venture into the business. If you are basically coming in for the money, I think it will basically be an obstacle for you at some point in time. But use the word passionate, use the word patience, and once you can basically get those two words on board and be a part of you, then you can basically venture into the operation and you will reap success. Because for me, based on my experience, any crop that I plant with the help of God, it's basically the Lord guiding me through the process, and I know that I have control over what I'm doing because of my experience within the field. And I try to basically not to plant too too many crops. I try to basically zoom in on about two or three, basically to have that experience and how to grow the crop ins and out, so that I know once I put this there and the Lord help me to do what I'm doing, then at the end of the day I will be successful. So basically, two words to the newcomers: be patient, be passionate, and you will reach the success.
Is there such a thing as a green thumb that you have to have or you won't be as successful?
Uh, well, for me, I would say no. It's basically just applying your skills. So, for example, you're going to plant melon, you do your research and see what the plant requires at the necessary stages. And once you apply those factors, then at the end of the day, you will be successful.
Right. So no
But
matter what color your thumb is.
no, once you apply the necessary factors, then you will reach the success.
And keep that passion and keep that patience, like you
Patience.
say.
Yes.
All right. So as we wrap up, Detective Sergeant Dale, any last shots you want to fire?
Well, from a farming standpoint, uh, as I would have said before, for the Salpon era, we are doing good thus far, but we just need some more help because persons have got frustrated and gone. But the few persons who are still in the area, they are doing an excellent job. And once we get the necessary resources on board, we can do even a better job and basically lower back persons in the area who would have left before. And for for the newcomers, farming is very very important, and it is one of the most lucrative business in Jamaica once you apply all the necessary skills. But as I said before, you have to be patient, you have to be passionate, and
Yes.
this goes with any business that you are going to do. If you are not patient and passionate, then basically you are just doing a hustle.
True, true.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to have passion. You have
Yeah.
to wake up in the morning and ready to go.
Yes, you have the sleep
Yeah.
it. You have to do it. You have to do all the necessary things. So it's basically a part of you 24/7.
Yes. Your job is extremely important.
Yes,
This is how we stay alive. We need
yes,
food to eat. And
Yes.
yeah, we have a lot of processed stuff, but originally it all comes from the ground.
Grown, yes.
Yeah, in some way, shape, or form. That is literally the root of our food. So farmers, nobody can deny,
Yes.
are of extreme importance. So Mr. Lopez, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, juggling two very demanding jobs.
Yes.
Yeah, and I want to encourage you to keep at it because we need people like you who have the natural passion, that natural drive to
Yes.
be in it for the long run.
Run, yes.
Yes, so I would encourage you to keep at it. And just like I brought my kids, with more schools need
Yes.
to take school trips into the farms and show
Farm,
the
yes.
children what is going on. Let them have that hands-on. Let them plant a tree. Let them see
Yes.
all of those things so that we can have a new generation
Yeah.
of individuals who have that interest and
Yes.
want to go into it as a job. I also think that the schools should have little kitchen gardens.
Gardens, yes.
Hmm.
Very important.
Once you have the space, have the little kitchen gardens where the
Garden.
kids can go in and even make it a part of the lesson.
Lessons, yes, true.
Yeah, so we need to do those things. So thank you again.
Yes, madam.
I want to come back to the farm, down the road to
Yes.
see how you're developing and all the innovations.
Okay, no problem.
So anything you think that might interest me, anything new, just give me a call and I'll run over. I'm not
Okay.
far away.
Okay, no problem.
All right, thank you again.
All right, madam. It was a pleasure.